This is Bad Movies We Love, part of the Shice Podcast Network.
Hello once again, Bad Movie Lovers, and thank you for tuning in to part 2 of our discussion on Queen of the Damned. Of all the movies that I've covered on the show to this point, if you would have told me that Queen of the Damned was going to be the one that we spent 3 hours talking about in total, I certainly wouldn't have believed you. But here we are. And if you didn't join us for part 1 of this discussion, that's totally okay. That episode is still out there, it still exists. You can still check it out at your leisure. So without further ado, let's pick up where we left off with Skadooosch. Previously on Bad Movies We Love.
No one remembers Queen of the Damned for Lestat. No one remembers it for Jesse. No one remembers it for Marius. The only thing people remember about this movie is how fucking cool and sexy Aaliyah looks as this kind of swaying, she has that snake-like body movement to her. It's so over the top, so camp, but for me, it's pure and it works brilliantly, and that's in her performance. But what did you think? Did it work for you?
I mean, I wanted to see more of her. You know, I wanted her to be a lot larger part of the overall plot, but I mean, to your point about the look that she goes with here is that it's very slithering. But I mean, yeah, they said that I think she was like an Egyptian vampire. So she's got a ton of history. Yeah. She's adorned in like jewelry and gold. She looks like royalty. And that's a pretty stark contrast to, a Stuart Townsend who's like dressed in leather, who a lot like Marius, they're wearing like these like colorful trench coats. So they sort of look more like representations of the periods that they are part of. And that's, fairly typical with other vampire stories that we are seeing, as well as like it sort of only dates back a couple of 100 years, right? We're not going way, way back in time to Egypt, where we get someone like her and sort of her mannerisms, her physicality with the role, even the accent that she chose. I read that like she was the first person hired for this, and she put a lot of work and effort into coming up with a tongue that sounded somehow unique for this character. So she definitely put the work in. She should have been in more than the last, act of the film.
Absolutely. For the level of commitment and at the level of performance that they get from her, they don't deserve it. The movie doesn't deserve for her to be as good as she is, I think, in it. And you're absolutely right. In terms of the voice, it's very clever, because at first I thought, well, she's just doing that roaming accent thing where she just does an exotic accent. But it's not. It's not. Absolutely not. I started to trace, while she was starting to talk, the accents that I could hear. Mm-hmm. And there was North African, almost certainly. There was a degree of Creole. There was French, Italian. It then does go into European at times. My love. It goes into the Italian stuff. But then it does go back to that kind of Creole, kind of that mix between all these different cultures. I still think to this day, I think, God, what would have happened if, again, we talked about correlations between this and The Crow. Brandon Lee died in making The Crow. Aaliyah died
after
post-production.
She was flying somewhere like after after principal photography had wrapped, and that was when the plane crashed. So this was, released in her honor, like they did the in memoriam thing. I forgot if it was at the very beginning or at the end, but like they put it on screen remembering Aaliyah. So they were aware of that in the process of finishing the film.
If you think also as well in terms of, let's just take a moment and break from the movie itself in terms of the culture. I'm not sure if are you familiar with the R. Kelly story and
Familiar
have you
enough,
seen the
unfortunately.
documentaries?
I don't think I watched the
Are you familiar
documentary.
enough with the connection with it?
Yeah, I
With
mean,
Aaliyah?
yeah, they were married when she was underage, and so I was like,
Completely.
I
Yeah.
listened to a lot of sort of like peripheral artists around R. Kelly at the time, and it was always kind of a thing that he was a pedophile, and then so for it to come out and him finally get like in big trouble for it 30 years down the line after I heard it, I was like, people still didn't figure this out back, 20 years ago. Like Dave Chappelle did
I
a
think
skit on this in the
again,
early 2000s.
100. And listen, we still live in a world where people are I find it. I mean, again, I'm just going to be personally honest. I find it incredibly distasteful that there is a Michael Jackson movie being made. Even being made, it just blows my mind. In terms of a star's trajectory, now obviously, if what hadn't happened, and she was still with us, I think this movie would have been huge for her. This was, as you
Yeah,
said,
for
she'd
sure.
been in Romeo Must Die with Jet Li, and she's cute in that, and she's funny, and she's sexy, which is all the things they were looking for at the time. She could have got. I think we're talking megastar. I think we're in the Beyonce conversation. I think in terms of if Aaliyah's trajectory, because the whole R. Kelly thing would have come to a head, wouldn't it? And we would have ended up either hearing Aaliyah's story or not hearing Aaliyah's story. Either way, so yeah, there's the tragic element. I think by the time she arrives on screen, we are desperate to see her, which I think which goes some way to explaining why the impact is actually so strong. However, then it very quickly becomes two-dimensional, as you say, that we don't get much more really from Akasha other than her going, her being sexy. We don't get really like what her reasoning is between what then goes on to happen. She destroys all the vampires in the vampire club because she's searching for Lestat, and she's doing that coyful thing of being impressive, and then they say, "Oh, Lestat, yeah, we're gonna kill him," and she goes, "Are you?" And we kind of know that what's next going to happen, and again, this is, like I said, so many points in this story and in this movie, they get some momentum, they get some footholds, and they really start to make some progress. And then, bang, the visual effects rear their head again because all of a sudden these vampires start attacking Akasha in the club. And it then becomes very clear to us that she has a special power. And again, this is written into the source material. Vampires of a certain age and of a certain strength manifest different powers, and the oldest of them are those. I think it's called sanguimancy, which is the idea that they can control the blood within any creature and literally make their blood turn to fire. We don't really get that in the special effects. We literally just get. I don't know. I was surprised that we didn't get, like, I don't know. Is it from Batman or what is it from? You know, that classic thing of when someone gets electrocuted and they show the skeleton underneath.
Yeah.
Going
Home Alone. Yeah.
Oh, exactly. Yes. Like that level of like, really? She's just done one of the greatest, I think one of the greatest intros for a character when she slithers into that club. Like, she just sets everyone on fire. I'd have liked to.
Doesn't she rip a guy's heart out as well?
Oh, now, yes, actually, yeah.
I think that's a good display
good.
of her power, her physical prowess. I don't know how many people really are like, oh, well, she just ripped the guy's heart out. Well, let me volunteer to go try and beat her up now. Yeah, it takes a bite out of his heart. So I think you can establish her being powerful and frightening and like legitimate senior vampire without needing to go the route of the telekinetic fire starter stuff. because it just becomes a crutch at a certain point. Like, it's cool if maybe, hey, in a pinch, she needs to be able to do this and she does it. But when it's like, no, you're on fire now, you're on fire, and you're on fire, just like, okay, well, everybody's on fire. Like, it doesn't pack the same
And
wallop.
again, but exactly, but going back to what we said at the very beginning, your relationship to this movie, or how you react to this movie, is very, very dependent on your relationship with Korn, new metal music, and goth culture. But most importantly, vampire mythology, which is people know certain stuff about vampires.
Mm-hmm.
There's no explaining of how she can turn them into fire, and there's none of that. And they could, I mean, it's not hard to do. I mean, fuck me, they have been dropping exposition all over the place with grenades of exposition throughout this movie. So they could have very easily kind of done that. But I mean, she arrives and then she disappears, but we go next to the nexus point, which is, okay, so Lestat is sleeping and he awakens to hear Marius. And they have this kind of little moment, this little reunion before the gig, before the big concert, where they're sat and they kind of share this lovely, genuine, again, authentic to the source material moment where I think Lestat is able to contextualize himself and his actions because they haven't seen each other in hundreds of years.
Mm-hmm.
And he's his maker. Marius is his maker, so it's a very, very unique relationship that they have. We have this wonderful little moment where there kind of is some characterization. I thought, brilliant. This is lovely. This is great. Okay, where are we going next? We're going to the concert. Oh, where is Jessie at the concert? Of course Jessie's at the concert. Why would Jessie not be at the concert? Because
she bought her tickets in advance.
Dying, despite being nearly eaten alive and being told by every senior person within an organization that she clearly has work to get into, completely disregards all of that, dresses up again like a goth. The concert's quite fun. Like it's so, listen, again, like I said, for people who were fans of Korn and metal music at the time, like, this was great. This is brilliant. And the music and stuff. And then I need you to explain this to me, Nick, because you saw what I saw. And I forgot that I saw this the many, many times that I saw this before. I saw it again for the first time again the other night. There are crowds. It's a crowd. We've all seen it. Like, we know what a crowd looks like at a concert. But then we're starting to pick out figures in the crowd. Oh, these are vampires. How do we know they're vampires? Well, they've got shiny, shiny eyes and they're wearing fucking hoods. But how also do we know that? Can you explain to me what the decision making was behind, we're just going to speed everyone else up because they do that super speed shit with the entire, everything's like...
Look, they loved the effect, okay? That's the only way I can explain it, is that they thought it looked cool. And even when it doesn't make sense within the world that they've created, it's like, in order to show that they're vampires, we're going to show them standing still while everybody else moves super speed. But then in the next scene, when they're fighting, they have to move super speed, and we'll burn that effect again. It looked cool. That's the only rationale I can come up with.
I mean, nothing you've said has been truer, but also nothing you've said has been truer in terms of the approach of how Hollywood blockbusters were made in the early 2000s. It looks cool.
Right?
Shut up. that is it. Like, that is the end of the... Shut up. It looks cool. We get to this climax, which is, again, the story builds up really well, which is, okay, we know the vampires are coming for Lestat now. But hang on, it's not just Lestat, it's Lestat and Marius. So there's this wonderful moment where the vampires start to come out of the crowd. And we'll be here all night of like shitting all over the fucking visual effects. So let's just leave that to one side for now. But it is bad. It is really
Doesn't age well.
Really bad. Vampires start to come out of the audience and attack the stat. Oh, he almost gets caught. But then there's this really kind of little light-hearted moment where Marius snatches a vampire out of the air and kills him, saves the stat's life. And he does this kind of bow to the audience. And it's like this lovely little moment where it's kind of like, thank you. It's kind of a fish out of water, but also it's cute and it's kind of lovely. And then it takes you right out of it because you go, hang on a minute, what is this crowd thinking is happening here? Is this all part of the show? Because that dude just ripped another guy's head off.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then we get the big bang.
We do.
She arrives. Where does she come out of, Nick?
I don't remember. Where does she come out of? Come out of the ground?
I remember. She comes out of the drum kit.
Surprise.
Literally, the drum kit explodes. Rise.
Well, maybe she was under the stage or something. I mean, look, again, pyro budget. They spent money on that. They want to blow something up. They want the big reveal. And so she shows up. But to what you're saying about sort of the crowd, I really liked the idea of toying with the nature of Lestat using his existence as a vampire as sort of like a marketing tool and getting everybody behind it, because it was this thing of like, oh, we're going to play this one big concert. It's not like we're on tour. We're just going to like, we're all building to this one show and everybody's going to show up, and they're making like this huge marketing plan out of it to have that happen. And still, really, you don't know. A couple people like know he's a vampire, but most people still really don't know, but they're on board with the persona. And then to see like, oh shit, like people are flying around the stage at super speed, like all of this is real, and we're just gonna kind of hang out and oh, he ripped the guy's head off, like golf clap. That was nice. But nobody's running away.
Dude, it is the equivalent of if at WrestleMania, like wrestling all of a sudden became real. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's so much to be mined there, and so in terms of interesting ideas, which is human beings' ability to fall into storytelling and to suspend our disbelief, and we'll go with the fantasy all the way to the point where whoa, okay, yeah, it really does that. It does that really well. What? No, the elements are there, but it doesn't do that. It doesn't play on it because we never see. Again, we see the vampires, we see the main characters. There's no human element. There's no human connection. We don't see anyone. This is why Blade works so well.
Yeah,
it's because the opening sequence of Blade is literally human being into a fucking meat processing plant. And the reason why it works is because we are with him. We're with that dickhead who's like, oh, yeah, cool, yeah, blood, yeah. Oh. We see him really actually discover the true horror of, oh, no, this is really fucking bad. This is real stuff. We don't get any of that with this. All of a sudden, the drum kit explodes and Akasha comes out of the stage. Again, I think budget and visual effects and hand waving has a lot to do with this, but I mean, really, like, she's just done that club entrance, and then you just kind of have her coming up out of the drum kit, and she then, what does she do? She just takes him.
She starts lighting people on fire.
Takes him.
That's when she really starts wielding some fireballs. Yeah.
I'm sure there's some more fireballs.
And then they leave, saves the day, basically.
They leave. And then comes the hard line. And this is where the movie and the story, I think, again, doesn't know which fucking pool it's picking from. Because then all of a sudden we get down to the nitty-gritty, which is human beings are animals. Yeah. Human beings are livestock. And now we get into some really interesting, thorny philosophy, which is, what happens to someone who goes through so much trauma and is so kind of removed from everyday human emotion that when someone says to them, they're just cattle, their sole purpose is to feed us. He doesn't go with her, does he, at any point, really? I mean, I don't think he really even says anything to her, but this is the thing that is put in front of him. The reality of Akasha is post Deftones change in the House of Flies sexy bath scene, which, let's be honest, I mean, how many times have we said the word music video so far talking about this? I mean, there is literally, they drop in the whole of Deftones change in the House of Flies. Now, tonally, it's perfect. It works. It really, really works. It's a wonderful moment in the movie. And then the movie resumes, which is him waking up to the hundreds and thousands of dead bodies.
Yeah, so she just ate everybody?
On the beach.
She ate everybody within a 5-mile radius.
But they both did. They both did. This is the point. Again, it comes from the source material, and it's right there, but it never actually has the balls to fucking say it, which is anytime that he wakes up and there are thousands of dead bodies, he's participated just as much as she has. They've woken up from it's a blood.
Yeah, he blacked out.
And he blacks out. Do you see what I mean? Again, it removes the responsibility. It removes the element of the story where the man with the power, who's gotten drunk on power, has done horrible things, and then has to realize he has to live with the consequences of what he's just done. All of that is removed, and it's just put on Akasha. So we go from a potential of really rich storytelling to just a two-beat. She's the bad guy. He's the good guy. He all of a sudden now thinks, oh, she's gone too far now.
It's very black and white when, I think the moral implications of him having to live with his mistake of like, oh, I empowered this goddess to do whatever she wanted, not thinking of the consequences, right? Like arrogant, young, being Lestat. And then to see that, oh, wow, not only like did all of this horrible stuff happen, but I was a part of it, and this isn't what I wanted to happen. Like, there's no grappling with that for him at all. It's just, okay, well, yeah, now she's the villain of the story, and I'm the hero, and let's proceed to the end of the movie.
Exactly. Hand waves all of it. And like you said, right there, everything you've just said is the richness in this story. This is where Jon Snow and fucking Khaleesi comes from. It's the exact same power dynamic. He has enabled her. He believed in her. He got drunk under her spell, and he has enabled something the genie is out of the bottle, effectively. That's what we've got here, Jon Snow and Khaleesi. I completely agree. You really nailed it there. We don't get any of that. All of a sudden, he starts, I mean, literally with a facial expression, he furrows his brow as she starts talking about, I mean, she literally goes full fucking Hitler, doesn't she? She goes from, hello, my love, let's have a nice sexy bath and lots of rose petals and death in the background. Lovely. Now we will kill everyone. Like, sorry, what? Oh, okay. So right. So we're here now. Okay. And that's why the end of this movie is so fucking disappointing, because it gets us to that point, and then the same old beats come out after, which is, well, okay. I mean, sorry, we do need to bring Jessie back into it, because this is apparently Jessie's time to shine.
Yeah, the movie forgot that she was in the movie there for a while.
Oh yeah, completely forgot.
Oh, whoops. Oh yeah, she's the love interest. We forgot.
then comes, we're all old vampires. And then all the old vampires come out of the woodwork. And that's the moment that I really got the Twilight, the latter Twilight movie vibes of like, oh, wow. So this is really where this shit comes
Vampire
from.
battle.
This really is where it comes from. Vampire battle, which is basically a bitch fight. It's a horrible, like, oh, there's one, before I forget, I hate to say this, but I can't talk about Queen of the Damned for 2 hours and not talk about this. Aaliyah side boob. Side boob? Do you know the shot I'm talking about?
I clearly have not watched the movie as much as you have.
Don't lie to me. There is a side boob, like her costume is like something out of Thundercats.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how to describe it. But, like, anyway, it's very much on display in the final moments of this movie. But we go from the Brat Prince is reunited with the vampire queen. Together, she wants them to go and rule the world and make everyone their slaves. He all of a sudden just goes, oh, that's too far, too much. That's way too much. And then thankfully, Marius turns up with all the other old people that we haven't really fucking seen. I mean, there is a big chunk in the middle of the movie where all of a sudden they realize, oh shit, we need to do some stuff with Lestat and Jesse. And it goes off on a little wander, doesn't it? He shows her the bleakness of his reality through being what he is, and she says, "Oh, but what have you tried not doing?" Like, by the time we get to the end, I remember the first time I saw this. I do remember the experience of seeing this. I was with friends, and we'd driven down in the day to the cinema and gone to see it. And I remember at the end, and I hadn't read the novel by this stage. I was actually angry that they killed Aaliyah.
Yeah.
I actually felt the way that scene all plays out at the end. I was like, she's the best thing. Like, she's literally the best. Can I have more? No, you can't have more of her. No, you can't have more of her.
And I think as the audience, we know that, yes, her plan is to kill all the human beings, enslave the rest. Not a good plan. She has to lose in the end. We can accept that. The problem is we have a hard time, I think, cheering for the Lestat that has been given to us, right? So it's not a satisfactory kind of win. It's this guy who was just a second ago like completely on board with her is like, okay, well, first I was gonna, be a traitor to my people and to human beings and, fuck Marius, and I'm gonna go with a caution, we're gonna kill everybody, and then, oh, okay, maybe I don't like that, so I'm gonna be a traitor again. And it's just like, so we have to cheer for the guy who has no loyalty to anybody because that's our only option? Like,
there's no
yeah,
conviction.
that sucks.
He's literally led by his penis. Like the entire time, he's like, "Oh, she's nice. Oh, she's nice. Oh, she's nice." That is his moral compass. That is his entire moral compass throughout the movie. It's just who he's attracted to. Yeah, you absolutely nailed it. In terms of endings, I forgot how bad the ending is. And when I say bad, it's not as in bad. It's bad as in the expression I love about filmmaking is that the whole point of, by the time you get to the end, the journey has to have been worth it. And that's what makes a satisfying end. No matter what happens, whether it's a happy ending, depressing ending, brutally bleak ending, it doesn't matter. As long as the journey has been worth it, and the characters that you've gone on this journey with, you care about and you went through it with them, that's what makes a whole piece of art, a whole story like this feel fulfilling. And that's why this feels like what it is, which is like an empty plastic bag of a movie. Is by the time it ends, My feeling was we've just killed the most interesting character in this.
Yeah.
And as you said, oh wait, so hang on, he's the good guy now? Okay. And I'm happy that she's with him. Am I happy about this? There's no structure. There's no framework. There's nothing to build. There's nothing to fall back on in terms of that ending. It's just disappointing. Really, really, really sadly disappointing.
Yeah, and I think it's more disappointing too because we don't necessarily. I think you and I look at sort of Aaliyah's here and sort of maybe fill in some of the blanks for her story because this is a woman of color who is
Yeah.
dating back to ancient Egypt, and she's the most powerful person in the story. And like, yes, what she wants to do is kill a bunch of people, but she's also sort of like pro vampire in that way.
She's a force of nature. She's a
Yes.
real force. She's the old blood. She's literally the embodiment of the Dark Ages, and where there was no law, it was just tooth and claw. She's that embodiment of old human savagery. That's what she embodies.
And so for her to lose
We
to
don't
sort of
really.
milquetoast Lestat is very underwhelming. I mean, he has help, of course, because he needs
Not
the
even
help, but
that. They all the way it happens as well. They all start pulling her and it's a really it's kind of just a disappointing, horrible death.
yeah.
Really, isn't it? Like, if you think about the way you want your big villain to go, you want them to be Alan Rickman in Die Hard. You want them to be falling off a fucking building. You want or The Crow, like the way every bad guy in The Crow dies is fucking spectacular. And she, who is again that thing of like, I was with her. My emotional engagement was with Akasha, not with these idiots who then start biting her and slowly kind of stripping her down. And it's kind of it's a depressing, deflating ending to her character.
It is, and I don't think
And
it was done
and
intentionally with that in mind.
No, and like you said about now, Akasha, Aaliyah was a woman of color. There's no reason why they could have very easily just whitewashed that character.
Yeah.
So easily and given it to anyone else. I mean, anyone else. But someone saw the opportunity. And again, that's what kind of, I guess, I do, but at the end of all of this, I do still love this movie. I think I love it for what it was, and I love it. I love it for its mistakes, but I can't forgive those mistakes because there is so much richness there. There's so much good, so much great stuff to get hold of, and they even made the hard decision of, okay, let's go with Aaliyah, and that was the best thing of it. And then to not realize what they had, I think, in terms of it frustrates.
Yeah, and I like watching the ending, I kind of felt like they accidentally stumbled onto something like a theme that I thought was worthwhile in that you do have this like black African queen, very powerful, who's basically getting slowly siphoned of her life force
Yes.
piece by piece by a bunch of white Europeans. And so I was like, this is smart,
Dude.
but I don't know if the movie is smart enough to have done this intentionally. So that's a good question, but I couldn't quite pin it down.
No, dude, that's fantastic. I mean, it absolutely is. Yeah, the beautiful raw power of the queen, as you say. Oh, dude, now that you see it, and there's a whole new element to it.
Yeah, because if you play that scene out with like with the different music to it, right? Where you're trying to invoke sort of the sadness, but also the inevitability of this, because it's like it is a hero that we don't really want to cheer for, but we know that we don't also want the world to end with her in charge. So you have to play it in a way that encompasses all of that. And I think back to sort of like Godzilla 1985, where it's like you have this force of nature and Godzilla is this big, powerful being, but is also just a product of the world that it exists in. And they lure him into a volcano with this bird song.
Mm.
And then he falls in the volcano, is just screaming. And at the end of that, like, I'm feeling horrible for Godzilla. And the people that killed him are also feeling bad that they had to do this to this creature that, like, isn't in control. And that is what this movie needed to have at the end. And it threw away.
100%. You've absolutely nailed it. It's essentially the death of the gods.
Yes.
Isn't it? It's death of the gods. It's human beings killing their old gods. And the whole you can make stories about human beings killing their gods till you're blue in the face. The only times those stories ever have any meaning is when there's a degree of melancholy and sadness. But I mean, think of it. Do you remember as well? She's the queen of the damned, but do you remember how she's introduced by Marius? She's Akasha, the mother.
The mother.
All of our mothers. She is all of their mothers. She is where they all come from. She is so killing the old to progress the new. So rich. We get none of it. What we get is like as you say, it's a bunch of white, blonde, blue-eyed people siphoning the power away from this black, archaic force. And yeah, I watched that scene, and it's something to be said, isn't it? That whereby if you've spent an hour and a half, if you've spent 90 minutes invested in a movie, it doesn't matter if you like it or not. It doesn't even matter if you really love it or you really hate it. It doesn't matter. You've just committed 90 minutes to this movie. You deserve better than for the end sequence to leave you feeling like that. To leave you feeling like, okay, right. Now what? And compared to what could have been there, I mean, it's sad.
Yeah, but I see why you like it. I see why you like the movie, though, because there is potential for it to be so much more than it is. And we're sort of stuck with a byproduct of that time that it was made, more so than just a pure abject failure of the source material.
On that, I think the first thing I wrote in terms of notes for this was that this particular movie could never have been made other than at this time.
Yes.
At this time. The idea of taking, well, listen, like, we'll just get corn. We'll just take, they really did, like, especially again at the time, the bleeding through from culture and subculture. Like, we had things like the Family Values tour way before this, where you started to have hip hop. You had Wu-Tang Clan going on stage with Limp Bizkit. You had a huge cross section of things jumping in over and across each other. So it felt, in theory, that what they were doing here was really fucking clever. It was really clever. It was taking an old folk story, weighty folk story, and slapping it together and playing it through like a modern lens. How does this story translate through a modern lens? And it doesn't. But it doesn't not because of the idea. It doesn't because of the execution. The execution is atrocious. It is absolutely atrocious. I do still love it.
Yeah, as you should.
So much fun.
And I think that just, I think that's probably you being an optimistic person, is that when you watch it, you still see the good and what could have been better about it, rather than watching it and just being like, well, this is so bad. Let me just enjoy dunking on it kind of thing, which just seems like a pervasive
I don't do
mentality
that.
now.
I was about to ask, is that something that you do? Because
Nah.
I personally don't. My equivalent for that is Zack Snyder movies. Okay. I hate no. I hate the way that he approaches his movies. The way he makes his movies makes me quite angry because it makes me feel like I'm not a person. I feel like he abandons the fundamentals of storytelling a lot of the time, which is character. Give us something to actually hold on to. So for me, when I see his movies, I get angry and then I switch them off. When they start to annoy me, I switch them off and I don't go and watch them. I give my opinion, but listen, if people love Batman versus Superman, or if they love Zack Snyder's Justice League, I don't begrudge them that. I'm happy they find love and some enjoyment for that. In the same way that I get love out of Queen of the Damned because of, I think, as you said, for its potential, for its uniqueness, for the fact that it is literally like a Korn movie. Someone made, like, my favorite band got to make a movie. I love that, and I will never begrudge anyone who finds anything good from anything which is bad. But listen, we do need to be able to say it's bad. It's bad. We need to be. I love it, but it's bad. Like the whole point of this podcast. I love it, but it's bad. I love 300, but it's bad. It's bad. It's bad. But it doesn't take away anything like that. I think there's a difference between. I don't know. I think a lot of this has to do with decision making and power, and I've used the word executive so many times throughout this because there are those movies where you can see not just the thumbprints, but the full fucking handprints all over the movie by someone up there who's gone, yeah, but what about this demographic or this demographic? It's that old thing of a camel being a horse made by committee. Like, just give someone, like, clearly there was a vision. Someone somewhere thought, we'll take Korn and the whole new metal goth thing and we'll slam it together with Queen of the Damned. It's a great mix. And that idea in itself was a great idea. Unfortunately, a lot of people in suits, I think, then got around a table and went, make it simpler. Make it simpler. Make it simpler. It just, yeah. It gets lost.
Too many cooks in the kitchen.
Good idea that gets lost, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there have been movies in the past where I'm like, this movie is so bad, I have nothing nice to say about it, but I want to have fun in saying mean things.
Like what?
The last one that I can think of that was really, like, offensively bad, it was like 47 meters down was the one that I really trashed, and I regret it though, because I know a lot of the things, like, I was like, I didn't have to do that. I didn't have to be that disparaging about it. I chose to because I thought I was supposed to, because, like, that's a lot of what film criticism had become, is that, like, oh, you really, like, tear things apart that are bad. And I was like, I don't need to do that in the future. So I regret having done that, but I did it. And then since then, there's of course been movies that I've hated, but they're few and far between, and nothing that's motivated me enough to be like, I need to go on a tirade about how bad this movie is. Typically, it's like I can make a joke about it and have it be easy enough to digest, and that's kind of it. And I don't feel the need to, like, repeatedly, like, beat a dead horse just because it's, like, the topic of the day, you know?
Exactly, and some of the time it becomes political, doesn't it? It really does. I think Michael Bay is an interesting example in terms of where people are able to draw the line in terms of he just makes. I mean, Zack Snyder and Michael Bay, I think that there's not a great deal of difference in between them. They essentially make movies for white teenage boys. There are a few movies which I think come from a bad place.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're rotten to the core. Pain and Gain. Speaking of Michael Bay, Pain and Gain for me in particular is an example of that. There are a few cases in which I think what I'm about to say is absolutely true. Is unfortunately a lot of the cases where this is true is in sequels and trilogies, where just literally the only thing talking here is the money. Like there's no story. There's no. Literally, this is a cynical enterprise, and audiences, I think, aren't as stupid as fucking executives believe we are. Like we can smell insincerity a fucking mile away. And I think the original idea of Queen of the Damned, I think, is a pure good idea because it's in the source material and it kind of came along at a great time in which there was it was perfect. It's just that they then didn't really care about what they were doing, or they didn't have the budget, or they were given a deadline and they were just like, right, let's just cram everything in, leave it to the editors to sort out at the end. I understand that those things happen, but when you look at now, right now, where we're living in a time of Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse, where that movie is made with so much love.
Yeah.
It's made with so much love and joy for the source material that I mean, there are so many things that could switch people off from those movies, but it doesn't, because I think it comes from a good place. And I think Queen of the Damned comes from a good place. It just didn't get, it fell apart from the top down, I think, in terms of how it was made and executed.
Yeah, I try to remind myself that people don't set out to make bad movies.
No,
For the most part, nobody wants to make a movie that people hate, right? So there typically is joy and effort and love put on at some point, but it is a complicated business at the end of the day that requires a lot of cooperation from, entities that may not have the best interest of your movie at heart. They have the best interest of their investment at heart. And, a lot of those things collide, and we see, I think, a lot of disastrous results sometimes because of it. But yeah, I just try to keep that in mind. Like, if I were making a film, would I want somebody to be like, oh, yeah, this is just this ball that's going to get kicked around on the internet for an entire year because it got made and we're all going to laugh at it, kind of a thing. So it's nice to see that even a bad movie like, Tommy Wiseau's The Room, like, could have the kind of audience that loves to celebrate that for what it is. And yeah, I mean, of all the bad things that have come out of like the internet, the good news is that like those sort of groups of people can find each other and celebrate those things together.
They can.
And recognize that it's bad in the process.
We talked about League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yeah.
I think that's weirdly enough, it's a very, very close case to Queen of the Damned. They get similar sort of time. Stuart Townsend, the director, had just come off the back of Blade, Stephen Norrington. From what I understand of why that movie, I mean, again, when that movie came out, I couldn't have been more thrilled. I was fucking here for it. I can't even remember what the trailer was, but I was just like, yes, give it to me. Tap it straight into my veins.
Yeah.
And I tell you, the moment it all goes downhill is the moment Sean Connery appears in League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Do you remember it?
I don't. I've seen the movie many times. He's the main character, though.
He's sat in a chair, and it's kind of a bit of a bait and switch, but it's so old. It's so creaky. It's someone thinks they're talking to him, and then he turns and he's like, oh, no, yeah. From what I understand, Sean Connery is the reason why Stephen Norrington doesn't make movies anymore. Genuinely. The director of League of Extraordinary Gentlemen and Blade, Sean Connery threw his weight around so much in terms of the way that movie was made and blocked and filmed and edited that Stephen Norrington just went, oh, you know what, fuck it, I don't care. Life is not worth this. Life is not worth this. And that makes me sad because, again, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen is a objectively bad movie. I wouldn't say I love it. But I don't hate it.
I've seen it many times. It's definitely one of those movies that when it's on cable, if I'm coming in 20 minutes late, whatever, I'm watching it again. It's fine.
It's got some really interesting little things in it. I think it's quite an interesting parallel with this movie, which is it's just told through the wrong prism. It's told through the wrong lens, which is big Hollywood Warner Brothers Studios. No, go and give a first time or second time filmmaker, give them, rather than giving 35 million to the guy who made this, give someone 3 million and see if they can make this movie. That's perhaps where necessity and budget perhaps bring out true creativity. I think the problem with this is that they swap the creativity for money, and the money is those special effects.
Well, they also had to like feed all of those extras that were at the concert, and who knows how long that scene ended up lasting. So maybe they had to put them up in like hotels and stuff. I'm sure that movie, was not on schedule or on budget, but 35 million still seems like a lot for it.
Stuart Townsend. Can we talk about Stuart Townsend very quickly?
Yeah, of course.
I knew of him from a movie he was in called Shooting Fish with Kate Beckinsale.
Okay.
Which is a really good kind of 90s crime caper, a bit of a budget indie movie. That was the first time I'd seen him in anything. And then he was in this. And then he was in League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. And then that was fucking it for Stuart Townsend, as far as I'm aware. Like, his career plummeted. It's an interesting choice to give him this role.
They're like, look, we tried. We tried. We gave you roles.
Do you think money?
I don't know, like, what it came down to for him. I don't know what kind of salary he could even demand for this movie. I mean, yeah,
but that's my point. I don't think he cost anything. I think they blew the budget on other things, and I hate to say it, but I think my instincts say that they blew the budget on Aaliyah and the costumes. And I'm glad they did. I'm really glad they did. But let's be honest, for this type of movie, no one knew who Stuart Townsend was.
No, you could have put anybody in
It's
there.
a really weird, considering the guy who played your role before was Tom Cruise.
Yes.
And this isn't a small movie. Like you said, 35 million. This is not a small movie. It feels, yeah. I would like to bend the ear of people who are involved with this at the time, because I'd love to hear the stories.
Right. I want to see those receipts. Where did this money go?
Yeah.
Because I'm sure Aaliyah got paid all right, but it's like, this is
contact lenses.
Right. This is her second movie, so she's not demanding that much. I mean, you don't have really an A-list performer here that's going to command a huge part of this. And
not even B-list.
Yeah.
Not even B-list, really, because Vincent Perez is nowhere near. He's C-D. Aaliyah's probably the most bankable asset, would you say?
Yeah, for sure. But like, comparatively, The Stupids, which is the movie I was recording an episode on last night, released in 1996 for a budget of $25 million. Tom Arnold got $5 million of that. So they paid their star 20% of the budget, but Tom Arnold is coming off of True Lies. He's coming off of the strength of being on Roseanne for a long time. So it's like he has some value there where it's worth dedicating 20% of the budget to him. Like, I don't know if that's the case in this movie. Like, even if you had 35, is Aaliyah getting like 10 of that for this role? I don't think so. Kirsten Dunst in Spider-Man made like 6 or 7 in that first Spider-Man. So like, I don't see a world where Aaliyah is making more money for this than Kirsten Dunst would have for the first Spider-Man.
Do you know, the horrible realization just jumped into my head, and I don't know, but I think what, as you just said there, that the key to understanding why this movie is so bad, and despite how much I love it, where did the fucking money go? Because the only thing I can think of, as you said there, Aaliyah doesn't make much sense. Stuart Townsend absolutely isn't pulling in big money here. Is it Korn?
Maybe, yeah.
Is it Jonathan Davis? Did they give him? But again, I don't think this movie works without his soundtrack. But it's I really hope in my heart of hearts that the reason this movie is so bad isn't because of them choosing to give Jonathan Davis some creative control, because that would kind of break my heart. Maybe let's not think about that anymore.
Well, a good way to put it that I heard when discussing the VFX of The Flash was that a lot of the budget for the movie went up noses and not into the production. And when talking about the VFX here, I wouldn't be surprised if there was maybe some cocaine passed around. They're like, hey, that's good enough. It looks great. Everybody will love to see this. They love the Matrix. Okay, pass the coke and we'll not spend our money actually editing in post-production.
I think you're absolutely bang on. I think there's a huge amount of budget for this movie which went up noses. However, in the case of The Flash, that movie went up arseholes. That is a whole new level. The Flash is a whole new level. I would love to talk to you about The Flash one day. Has that been on this? Has someone chosen
it hasn't. Someone asked me about it last year, and I was like, it's too new for me yet. I was like, I can imagine doing it in the future, but it was like a month or two after the movie got released. I'm like, it's a little too new, so let's just put a pin in that for later.
It's worthy. Absolutely worthy. My partner gets very upset with me when I pause movies when we watch them together and I vent. But sometimes I feel like I have to. And I think sometimes it gets lost in the politics of things, because people think I have this real hatred for DC movies, and I don't. I love Batman. I love Superman. I love The Flash. I love those characters. I just haven't seen a good movie since Christopher Nolan's Batman's and a few other bits and pieces scattered around. But objectively, most of it's been terrible. But The Flash took it to a whole new level for me. She lost her temper with me in the first 10 minutes. She was like, we're never going to watch this if you keep stopping it. The babies and the microwaves and I just
would have had more respect for the movie if they actually microwaved the baby, but they did.
I wish someone would microwave Ezra Miller.
Yeah, that's a whole different conversation, but maybe we'll circle back to that in the future. How do you feel about doing some trivia for Queen of the Damned?
Definitely.
Time for trivia!
All right, let's see what we got here. We've got question number 1. You'll probably get this one. Who provided the lead vocals for Lestat when he's actually singing? Because it sure as fuck wasn't Stuart Townsend.
No. Hang on, one second. Oh my god. Right. No, it most certainly is not Stuart Townsend. Jonathan Davis, again, lead singer of Korn. That voice is very, very unique. So it's very easy to tell when it's being used. Stuart Townsend ain't doing shit in this movie from a musical perspective.
No, so they couldn't even just be like, hey, we want to spend some of this money on you taking like vocal lessons and we'll have you actually sing the lyrics. Like, nah, we're going to pay Korn for this. But yeah, he does the vocals for the film, but I guess because of some weird like contract stuff, he isn't allowed to sing on the contract, like record label issues. So he provides like backup music for the vocal.
Yeah, they would have made a huge amount of money from literally from the CD soundtrack at the time. And again, talking about time, like 2002, 19 pounds, or I don't know, $25 for a CD back then. Like the Queen of the Damned soundtrack, I'd love to see the stats on that, because I guarantee you that sold really, really well. Really well.
Yeah, I don't have the numbers on that, but you're covering a lot of bases with that soundtrack. And probably if you have like some Aaliyah original song on that as well, you'd probably be doing pretty good unit sales on that. But let's see. Question 2. Aaliyah is top billed. She was first cast, but because she died in that plane crash after principal photography ended, she didn't get a chance to do any ADR. So how did the director remedy that situation?
But wait, hang on. Is that? Please tell me that is her actual voice, though, in the finished product, in terms of the movie.
I'm assuming at least some of it is, but I don't know that all of it is.
It can't. I mean, statistically, it can't be, can it? I mean, there's always ADR. There's always
Correct.
ADR. Oh God! Oh no, I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like it because I don't want to think that the one thing I absolutely love from this movie was her performance and characterization, and actually 50% of it is someone's done a VO. Oh no!
I hate to be the bearer of bad news,
Oh
but
no!
so Michael Rymer, the director, he brought actually in her brother, who apparently has a very similar voice to her, and they used like special vocal technology at the time to like make his voice sound more feminine, but that's how they recorded
Okay.
that's how they recorded her
Do you know
ADR.
what? I didn't think there was any scenario in which the truth, the brutal truth of that wasn't going to affect me. But actually, do you know what? It's weird. It's weird,
It is.
but I kind of feel better that okay, at least they got her brother and tried to make him
Yes.
sound okay. I'm fine with that. Yeah.
Rashad Houghton, her brother, is the one who came in and finished that for her. So, yes, I'm glad that it's like, hey, we reached out to the family, like trying to figure this out, and there was a at least somewhat convenient resolution to where I don't think watching the film I'm ever like, oh, this is like off-putting in a way. So at least they figured that part out. Okay, well, question number 3, third and final question. The big Death Valley concert is set in Death Valley, California, but was actually filmed where?
I mean, is it okay? The first thing is I'm thinking is soundstage. Is it literally on the lot in California?
No, it's actually like outdoors somewhere.
Is it Seattle?
It is not. It is Werribee, Australia.
What the
So that's
fuck?
probably where the damn budget went, because they recruited thousands of goths from Melbourne nightclubs and like through online ads. And then they had to drive them on a fleet of buses out to the middle of this quarry where they filmed this scene. So they probably spent way more money than they ever planned on just accomplishing that one Death Valley concert scene.
I think yeah, dude. I think you've put your finger on it. Absolutely. This is why. This is why the CGI is so fucking shit.
Probably they're like, look, we just got to figure it out at this point because we're way over budget, we're way overbooked. We gotta get this project done. But yeah, so just like some bonus trivia. I know that Anne Rice was not a fan of
No.
this movie. She's like, no, I denounce this movie. I want nothing to do with it. And nobody from Interview with the Vampire came back for this, and they didn't even use any of the footage that they owned from Interview with the Vampire to help connect it to the original film. So it exists as a movie that, while technically a sequel, didn't invest in actually being a sequel or want anybody to know that it was actually a sequel. So it's in a weird limbo.
It's a strange operational or logistical decision, which is because in this day and age, and perhaps again, it's a thing at the time where perhaps the currency or the value of IP now in 2020 2024, studios understand the power of IP a lot more, because I guarantee you that decision wouldn't have been made at this time. Like, what do you mean? So we can use Tom Cruise? We can use all of the footage from the. There's no way this would have happened, because that's almost counter to the what is the thing that has the most value here that we own? It's the IP. It's the intellectual property. So we can do anything we want. But instead, I mean, not only do they choose to not use it, they then choose to, from a design perspective, make the main character completely unrecognizable from the previous most famous iteration, which was Tom Cruise.
So you couldn't even accidentally
pick a random
connect
English
them.
guy and make him look like that. Fucking hell. Too much cocaine, Nicholas.
Cocaine and leather pants is what happened to this movie. But yeah, that's a good segue to go to Critics Corner, because this is where we really get to chew on all of the horrible things that the critics had to say when it came to Queen of the Damned. And let's see, we've got 30 overall Metascore. Lowest score on the board is a 20 out of 100. And this is coming from the New York Times. A.O. Scott says, Queen, in quotes, is a movie that stoops to jokes like calling Lestat's CD a monster hit. The movie is just a plain old monster. So he's pretty aware that the script might have been one of the weak points when it comes to this movie, but he has fun playing that up into his pull quote. So that's the Times for you.
I think they know. Yeah, they put their finger on it there, I think. But the word clumsy does come across like literally. It's really strange because there are so much about this. There are so many things which traditionally in your head you would look at in terms of source material and content and direction and vision for this movie, and you go, yeah, that's where we're weakest. That's where we're weakest. We're going to be weak there. And the whole point is that whole section, a clever person would have gone, we're really weak there. That's what then went on to go and make Twilight and What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah.
That's the genesis of it, because people go, this is really fucking funny. Like, the ridiculousness of this is so fucking, like, there's some good stuff that came out of it, but yeah, I think, well,
let's climb the
contact lenses and cocaine.
Yeah.
that's who someone needs to write a book about the making of Queen of the Damned, cocaine and contact lenses.
Hey, that sounds like a fun project. Let's climb the ladder. We go from a 20 to a 30, and this is Joe Morgenstern from the Wall Street Journal. He says knows that it's junk and tries feebly to rejoice in its junk. So okay, he at least is able to understand that the movie is wanting to have fun with some of the ideas that it puts forth. I think he's maybe he's giving it maybe a little bit too much credit for rejoicing in its junk, because that's something that we do as the audience more so than the movie is trying to do. But that's better. It's more complimentary than what we got.
I think it's very, very kind, because there's a very thin line between that and it knows it's junk. Like, sorry, it's bad, but it's good because it knows it's bad. Fuck off. No. No.
Yeah, it's not that
kind.
movie.
Way too kind.
We'll circle back to New York for the New York Daily News that gave it a 38. From Jamie Bernard, it says the main theme is the loneliness of the social outcast. That plus a soundtrack to Wake the Undead and the morbidly entombed presence of Aaliyah will attract an audience despite the movie's intrinsic cheesiness.
Good.
Better. We're getting there.
Yeah. I think cheesiness. No, he's kind of striking on something there, which is true but untrue. Cheesiness has that phrase, that expression has a degree of kind of goodwill behind it. So does camp.
Yeah.
And this movie is extremely camp, but the flaws of the movie have nothing to do with it being camp, I don't think, because we forgive movies for campiness all the fucking time. No. This is all in execution.
Yeah.
It's not cheesy. It's not cheesy. It's camp. It's not cheesy. It's poorly executed, I think.
Yeah, nobody's really willing to pull the trigger on that just yet, but we've got more scores on the board. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 people gave it a 50. One of them is Roger Ebert, and so we always read Raj on this show, and a 50 for him is pretty good because that's typically 2 out of 4 stars. And he says
Raj gave it 50.
Yeah, he said it is happy to be goofy. And again, I think maybe he's giving a little too much credit for enjoying its own goofiness, but hey, Roger had fun with it. That's fine. The other 3 on the board at 50, we have the Philadelphia Inquirer, the Miami Herald, or the Boston Globe, and you can pick your poison.
Boston first.
All right, let's go with the Boston Globe. This is Jay Carr. Gave it a 50. Says degenerates into a lot of dull declaiming and attitudinizing despite a sly tongue-in-cheek quality brought by a preening Stuart Townsend to the Lestat role he inherited from the utterly humorless Tom Cruise. Okay.
It's really weird. It's really weird how people for years ridiculed Tom Cruise for his performance as Lestat in Interview with the Vampire. He was ridiculed. His performance is exceptional. His acting is better than, because let's be honest, Brad Pitt doesn't really have a lot to do in terms of Louis, the vampire. In that, he's sad, and then he's mournful, and then he's a bit grey, and then he's a bit sadder, and then he's okay, and then that's it. I mean, that's what he does. Lestat is the way more interesting character because he's kind of punchy and breaks the rules, but also, yeah, I thought Tom Cruise. It's weird how the history has kind of gone in a bit of a cycle with that, because I still, to this day, I'll fight anyone. I think Tom Cruise's performance in Interview is exceptional. I think it's great. It's really close to the source material, and it gets the campness, and it gets the nastiness, the sharp, needly edges, which give this movie some teeth. But I guess, the preening quality of Stuart Townsend, yes, agree with that. I agree with, but that's all he does. Can you tell me anything else he does other than preen and wake up from a blood feast going, oh shit?
Yeah, he strikes me as sort of like unserious throughout this whole movie. Just can't be bothered to really like be awake or do anything or care one way or another.
One facial expression, Nick, is this one. It's just, It's kind of the core. It's the one eyebrow slightly raised, slightly bored. I mean, it's something out of the Cure photo shoot.
There you go. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Maybe it's not that far away.
And the highest score on the board, we're going to close it out with the New Times. LA. This is Gregory Weinkoff. Gave it a 60 out of 100. Said, since the movie arrives and succeeds as entertaining B-movie fare, we may as well appreciate all of its howls, beastly or unintentional. Okay, so look, it's not great, but have fun with it, and have fun with the areas where it's not strong as well. So at least one person is like, hey, I can understand where you're coming from.
Do you think, there's a slight thought in my head, and it was about Roger Ebert giving it 50, and I was thinking, if this movie wasn't so attached to one of the most major studios at the time, if this was an independent movie, I have a feeling the criticism would have been a lot sharper, because this is the type of movie where Warner Brothers and Village should be held, their feet should be held over the fucking flames for this. As we've talked about for the last 3 hours, there is so much good, rich content right there that they could have mined. But the thing is that this is Warner Brothers and Village, so is it worth a particular critic losing, I don't know, a bit of a relationship with them over this? I think perhaps that's got something to do with why the reviews are so kind, more than actually. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's me being cynical, but
No, I understand because I haven't even seen any of them so far that really point to the lack of cashing in on something that's very easily
how shit.
attainable. Yeah. So like let me pick one of these other ones that we didn't read. So the Philadelphia Inquirer said at its best, Queen is campy fun like the Vincent Price horror classics of the 60s. At its worst, it implodes in a series of very bad special effects. So that's probably the one that most accurately mirrors
Who
the
said this?
discussion we've been having. And they gave it a 50 out of 100. So go figure.
Ah, I,
But this is why we read the critics.
it's I, I don't. Yeah, there's not much I can disagree with there. It's interesting because, and the thing is as well, is that the critics writing those reviews, they're not the target audience either.
No, they're not.
They're not the target audience, so they're still giving it relatively kind reviews. I feel, despite I think some glaring glaring errors. Yeah. That's interesting. That's interesting. I think there's something to sum up about how I feel about it. I think there's something to be said for loving a movie for what it means to you at the time, and then watching it again several decades later. And I said to you, didn't I? I said I was nervous about rewatching it, and I really
Mhm.
genuinely was because in my head, I love it. I absolutely love it. I can't remember much about it, but I know that I fucking love it. That's all I know. And then there's this other cognitive part of my brain which is starting to tick over and offer me bullet points, which is it's really bad. It's really bad because of this. It's really bad because of that. It's really bad because of this. It's really bad because of that. So what I was so scared about the rewatch was that I was going to see all of its flaws and go, oh no, it's just bad. But I don't. I do still love it. I do still love it. I love it in a different way, but it can be quite a scary experience because there are movies, and I talked about The Crow. Um, there are movies when they are part of your makeup, your
Yeah.
actual psychological makeup, because when you're 15, 16, choosing to be a goth or to be a skater, that meant something in those days. It really did. It meant something. It drew lines in terms of the people you hang out with, the places you went to on a weekend, the music you listened to, the clothes you wore. It was a big, all-encompassing thing in terms of identity, and movies are a huge part of that. So it can be really, really horrifying to look back at like a movie you loved as a teenager and realizing that it's horrific. This has been quite a cathartic experience for me in that respect, I think, because I've come out of this experience the other end still holding love for it, which is a different kind of love now. It's a very different kind of love. But I think perhaps it's made even stronger for actually being able to look at it in the cold light of day now 20 years later and go, despite all of the things that are tragically wrong with it, yeah, there's still something there.
Well, that's what this show is for. It's a safe space to indulge movies specifically like that. Most of the stuff that, I talk about on the show is at least 20 years old, if not older than that. And a lot of it is stuff that was formative movies for people at the time where they were in their adolescent to teenage transition years, and you're starting to really like form your own opinions on the kind of movies that you like. You're not just being shown stuff by like your parents or whatever kids movie is available that you get plunked down in front of. So I think a lot of people have that same experience of like, well, we're going back to something that I grew up with, but that I'm not sure still holds up. I think we did Ernest Scared stupid, which was still a lot of fun. I mean, definitely directed at kids, but being older, I can just realize that yes, now that I'm not the target demo, it's easier for me to see the weaknesses, but it doesn't mean I don't appreciate the things that it was doing for its target audience. And I think this
Mhm.
movie is a similar example to that, where this movie really had its audience in mind and wanted to make a movie for them, and it still succeeds in doing that. I think I walk away from it feeling like I really am more bummed about Aaliyah's death now than I was at the
Yeah.
time in 2002, because it's like I knew who she was. I'd seen her music videos. I'd listened to her music. Like she was part of the R&B culture that I was already like listening to a little bit. But to see that like her performance and her trajectory was going in the right direction. Like of all the people that would have come out of this movie, she probably would have gone on to parlay this into something much bigger. And so to see that, yeah, she gave as much of herself as she did, that she was the first person hired for this movie, that she's top billed, like this was built as a vehicle for her. And I think in that way, maybe the movie fails her more than it fails any of its other commitments, because, she comes
I,
in an hour into the movie and then she has to have this very unsatisfactory demise by the end of it just to get things
yeah.
wrapped up, where this could have been an entire movie about her story. Like, show us, you got $35 million, show us some Egypt, show us her past. We don't need to see Lestat's past. We just had an entire movie about that in 1994 that you guys are ignoring, pretending like it's not even connected. So there's a lot of potential here for it to be something more than it was, but it was nice to go back and revisit it. I had fun. It was nice talking to you as well.
It has been Nick. It's been an absolute pleasure. I think it's it's nice to put our fingers back on the pulse of a different time again. It's quite nice. And one thing as well that I thought just about what you said there about Aaliyah, I think that is the key thing I take away from this is God, we really lost a real one in terms of, because again, there's something about that performance and the way she commits to it that really kind of, let's not forget the poster for this movie. She's front and center, and it's him behind her.
Yeah.
On the soundtrack, it's the same thing. Every picture for this movie is not about Lestat; it's Aaliyah. So, and yes, so tragic in terms of the outcome and of how it happened, but also just in terms of, yeah, how this world would be so much different. I think we lost Lisa Left Eye relatively around the same sort of time, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
Again, in a time which is being controlled by, and let's be honest, male fucking white cocaine addicts with frosted tips in their early 20s who held every position of power in Hollywood at the time, to have artists of color, especially female artists of color, start to put a stake in the ground. See what I did? Stake in the ground. It's tragic, but I think there's still enough there. I think the thing that I take away from it the most is that the reason it captured people's imaginations wasn't the story, had nothing to do with Anne Rice, had nothing to do with vampire. It had literally, if you just put the image of Aaliyah as Akasha, that is the thing that caught people's imagination. It doesn't matter what the story is behind it, or like a picture can tell 1,000 words. I think she is the shining gem in this movie, and it's so sad that we didn't get to see more from her. But I think it's also a thing that makes this movie so special, is that it reaffirms, yes, she had so much to give, and it's sad that we didn't get to get it. But at least we got this. At least we got this, and not just Romeo Must Die, because Romeo Must Die is great, but she doesn't get she didn't really get fuck all to do really in it. A few high kicks and a roundhouse, but no, this showed the power, like the potential, I think, and that's to be lauded, I think.
Yeah, she gave more to this movie than this movie deserved from her. Put it that way.
100%. Beautifully put. Beautifully put.
And on that note, when I have
And
guests on
on
the
that,
show, I always like to, get from my guests a window into their world. So what are you working on right now? What do you want to plug while you're here?
plug wise, so I will be doing another movie ranking very soon. I'm trying to keep myself relatively focused on what it is that I enjoy, on doing what I enjoy doing. I'm trying not to get carried away with trying to make content for other people.
Exactly.
You'll see. Listen, my channel just very recently went over the 10,000 views marks. I I can quite happily say, I know you haven't been watching Shogun. Have you yet? Have you got into it yet, or you started?
Nope. Still behind.
No, that's okay. But honestly, at least 80% of those 10,000 views are me just doing the voice from Shogun and doing the hello, I'm John Blackthorne. Like it's too it's silly stuff. It's silly stuff. But honestly, guys, if at any time you ever want to forget about how shit this world is, how much pain and horror and trauma there is in it, and spend some time just chatting shit about movies, because let's be honest, what else are you going to do apart from raise children and make enough money to get through to the end of the day? What else are we here to do? Let's talk about movies. So come and talk about movies with me.
I know you said you
and with
scheduled
Nick
it
on Twitter.
You said you were doing it once a day, and now you scaled it back to it's like once a week now.
At best, it's usually once every 2 weeks. I kind of leave it, and I hate to say it, but honestly, in that early, I mean, I shot my load way too early. like I said, doing every night, I went through every genre there is, bruv. I went through every genre. I must have done top 5 rom-coms probably 6-7 times now,
Wow.
which is fine, because ultimately ranking things is it's a bit redundant anyway, and it's all subjective. But I think at the core of it, all it is just people liking to get together and talking about the movies they love and why they love them, and then being able to recommend them to other people.
Yeah,
that's
for sure.
That's basically it. I am the world's biggest Ryan Gosling fan. I didn't think up until a few months ago that I could love him anymore. I'd just seen Barbie. I've seen pretty much every movie he's ever made, and I thought there's no way he's done anything better than anything I've seen, like Blade Runner 2049 or any of these movies. And then a friend of mine said, "Have you not seen Lars and the Real Girl?"
Oh
And
yeah.
I said, "No." And then boom, sat down, watched it, 90, 99, 100 odd minutes of that movie. All of a sudden, my world is different. My world is different because I didn't think he could go to another level. And he really, really does in Lars and the Real Girl. So, yeah, I enjoy recommendations, and I just enjoy chatting shit about movies.
As do we all. What is the YouTube channel if people want to find you? Is it also movie rankings?
It is. It's at Skadooosch Movie Ranking. It's a funny spelling because at some point, I had to come up with a username, and it was at a time in which I didn't foresee a future in YouTubing or content production. So I just went with Skadooosch, made me laugh, and then I used a funny spelling because someone else had that name. But yeah, it's Skadooosch with 3 O's and SCH and then movie ranking. But yeah, if you Google Skadooosch Movie Ranking, you should find me.
Sounds good. Yeah, Ryan Gosling. I think Lars and the Real Girl was one of the first Gosling movies I saw. So like I always expected that of him. And
Oh,
oddly enough, at my college graduation, I got there early, like for my particular class. And I was standing in line, and I was the first person there. And I look across from me, and it's Ryan Gosling, and I'm like, "What the fuck is he doing here?" And he's like standing there, very quiet, very polite. He's not like signing autographs or anything. And I look at him, and we just kind of like give each other a look of acknowledgement. and it turns out that his sister was graduating, so he was there for his sister, and so it was just super surreal because I was like, of all the people I expect to see standing across from me right now, he's not one of them. Uh, but yes, I've always been fond of Gosling. I'm glad to see him sort of like stretching his comedic wings because what is it? The Nice Guys is a great comedic vehicle for
Nice
him. I think
guys.
Barbie really leaned into that for him as well. And I'm hoping the Fall Guy will give him some of that as well. So I'm looking forward to that one.
Me too. Me too. I think Emily Blunt, and in terms of leading men at the moment, I think a lot of people weirdly got into this thing of is Ryan Reynolds better or is Ryan Gosling better? It's like, well, I haven't seen Ryan Reynolds do something anywhere near Place Beyond the Pines or like I think there's a depth to Gosling. It doesn't matter who's better, but I think we're very lucky. We're very lucky to be living in an age where not just Ryan Gosling is at this peak at this point in this kind of zenith of his career, but also the audience are realizing like a leading man just doesn't have to be good looking. Like he can be vulnerable and funny and smart and weird and all these other things. I think it's good in this day and age that we look to people like Ryan Gosling and go, that those are the people we consider to be at the top of their game at the moment.
That's a good point. And it also doesn't hurt to be very good looking, especially in Hollywood.
I mean, he is ridiculous, ridiculous. And funny as well. Like Crazy Stupid Love is one of my favorite movies, and it gets underrated because it's a comedy, but he's so good in that. He's taking off his ring to punch David Lindhagen. It's so good.
Well, maybe for one of your next movie ranking spaces, you're going to do top 5 Ryan Gosling movies. It'll be a short one.
I've done it 3 times.
Oh, you've done it 3 times already? Wow. Okay. Well, look at this. Don't leave it to me to give you advice then. Well, it's been such a pleasure talking to you, man.
You're absolutely right. But yeah. It's been an absolute pleasure, Nick. It's been so much fun. Thank you so much for indulging me with this as well, because I tend to go on. I tend to sometimes I start talking and I don't really know where my thoughts go until the end of it. But I think this is a great platform for this, because as we said at the beginning, sometimes we don't know how we feel about movies until we just start talking. And so thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to discover to keep a movie that I love in my heart, but now it has a whole new significance. So thank you for that.
My pleasure. I'm so glad that we're able to sit down and have conversations like these, because so much of what we do on social media is restricted to like a very short conversation. It's like if you don't have something like witty or funny or valuable information to communicate right away,
Hot take.
exactly.
Hot take.
It's like there isn't much conversation to be had there. So I like having like a big in-depth chunk of time to really get into everything that we want to talk about the movie, because like you said, it gave you an opportunity to sort of look at what you loved, take a step back, assess it for what it is, and then find something new to love about it, or a new appreciation for why you loved it. And it allowed me to revisit a film that I thought I had seen, but apparently I haven't. And to really like come away from it, like seeing all of the potential and getting to see all the reasons that you love it, like makes me probably like the movie more than I maybe would in a vacuum. So thank you for that.
I love that. No, thank you, Nick. Thank you.
Whew. All right. Well, have yourself a good night. I know it's probably like 1-2 o'clock in the morning for you. So
that's all right. Brother, I'll go for a walk and have a glass of wine after this so I can sit and just chill. But yeah, I love this period of after you've done like an hour or 2 or 3 in our case, of like there really is no much more to say, and it's like you feel like you've gotten everything off your chest. It feels like therapy in a way.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, there's a reason that like therapy sessions are an hour, because you really need time, and you go every week because you need to get it out of your system. So this is a good place to do that, and to have some fun along the way, and not just be strictly relegated to like, okay, well, we're gonna have like a educational podcast here about movies. It's like we can get into that if we really want to, but the point is to have fun, to embrace the things that we love, and to share that love with other people, and hopefully when Lestat has his line about coming out of the woodworks, all the fans of Queen of the Damned will come and rally for this movie and listen to the episode and share it around. So
I hope so.
Yeah, please.
I hope
please
so.
do.
And listen, and that's the thing. It's a good thing, I think, to be able to speak about. I think a lot of people look back at their teenage years and the things they love, and they feel like almost like a degree of shame over them. Like they talk, or they self-deprecate and they say, "Oh, when I was a teenager and I would wear this and wear that." So I always kind of feel like shaking them, going, "Dude, that's the core of your personality was born then."
Yeah.
As silly as you think it was formative. It was really important to you back then. So try not to lose hold of. Try not. And I love that in this, like, you're on the other side of the fence in terms of, I was very much here for Queen of the Damned and goth music and all of that stuff at the time. I think it's good to be able to share it with someone and be able to try and articulate what it was that attracted you to it in the first place. Because I think that's what real fans of a certain genre or a certain type of movie or music, like, that's really what they want to engage with people over, is, did you feel the same thing that I felt? Or if not, what did you feel and how did I feel? Like I said, that's the secret sauce, man. I think that's worth spending time on.
It is. And that's why I make sure I'm like, hey, you need to block off at least 2 hours. Like, maybe we don't get 2 hours, maybe we go over 2 hours, but you need to prepare yourselves for there to be a 2-hour block in your day where we're going to talk about some old movie that a bunch of people hate and we love. So
yeah,
lots of fun, man. Well, I wish you nothing but the best. I'll make sure I get all of your info up in the show notes too. So YouTube, Twitter, all that stuff is just a click away for anybody who's interested. But yeah, until next time, sir, you have yourself a good night.
Thank you, sir. Very much so. Thank you so much. Good night.
A big thanks to Skadooosch for coming on the show and coordinating with me from the other side of the planet to share his love for Queen of the Damned. And you can find him Skadooshing and ranking movies on X/Twitter and on YouTube now. There's a lot of O's in Skadooosch, and I don't want to mess it up, so I'm just going to make sure that I drop it in the show notes for you. And of course, thank you to everyone who took the time to listen to this episode. I know you have a lot of choices when it comes to podcasts, and I appreciate you spending your time with us. I hope you enjoyed the show, and if you do, please consider leaving a rating and telling a friend about it. And the new support page is live at ko-fi.com. That's ko-fi.com/badmovieswelove. I'd love to hear from you, so if you have a bad movie you love, and or maybe would like to be a guest on the show, you can contact me now at badmovieswelove@theshice.com or badmovieswelove on Twitter and Instagram, and that's love with an LUV. And as always, take care, be well, stay safe, and have fun however you get your movies.